I think it's very credible. We've known for a number of years that the North Korean regime has been subjecting many members of its citizenry to this kind of punishment. What's not clear is whether the figure of 200,000 or 300,000 or maybe even 500,000 is correct. 300,000 is perhaps a sort of median figure, and I think it has a good deal of credibility.
Over the years there have been reports that these secret prison camps are extremely brutal. What do we know about them?
Well, in fact, we don't know all that much. One of the problems that those of us who work on North Korea have is getting reliable information. We all are guessing about exactly what is happening in North Korea. Occasionally we get bits of information from prison guards, from former inmates who've managed to get out in one way or another. But of course they are also subject to some kind of suspicion. We don't really know who's telling the truth. But I think it's quite clear that the North Korean regime is extremely brutal. They are attempting to maintain control over the population at a time when the economy is in very bad shape, and many people are starving, and many children are suffering from quite severe malnutrition, and the North Korean regime is extremely worried about its own survival and is clamping down very severely on all members of society.
Well, some defectors say there's now growing instability within North Korea. Is it possible that there is increasing opposition to the government?
Well, I think the first thing we have to realise, apart from the fact that conditions in North Korea are extremely bad, and maybe 1 million people have died from malnutrition. Apart from that, there are also stories about the ill health of the leader Kim Jong-il. It's been reported in the last few months that he's suffered maybe one or more strokes. He has appeared in official photographs recently, and there's been a lot of debate about whether in fact he's holding his left hand and left arm in a very strange way, as if he's partly paralysed. And all of these stories have given rise to a good deal of speculation about the future of the North Korean leadership. It appears that there may be some kind of power struggle going on. Certainly there is a good deal of instability, and that of course will increase the nervousness of the regime and will increase their desire to clamp down on any signs of opposition.
Some people, of course, from North Korea escape into China, but China refuses to give them refugee status at all. Why is that?
I think there are several reasons. One is that they do not want to destabilise North Korea any more than it's destabilised at the moment. China worries enormously about the collapse of the North Korean regime, because that would almost inevitably result in a regime which is much less friendly towards China. And so China is doing its utmost to maintain stability such as it is in North Korea. That's the first reason. The second reason is that China, of course, worries about its own border regions. And if there are a very large number of refugees coming over, the Chinese worry about what will happen in the border regions. And so China is collaborating with the North Korean regime to return any refugees who come over the border. Again, we don't know really how many people have been repatriated, but we know it's a very large number, probably in the hundreds of thousands.
And those people face certain detention, possible death?
Absolutely. We know that many of the people who have been returned have suffered severe reprisals, and as you say, many of them have in fact been killed.
Recently, some defectors have sent hot air balloons across the border into North Korea with anti-government messages being released. But South Korea has asked them not to do that. Why is that?
I think South Korea itself is extremely worried about its relationship with North Korea. Over the last few years, South Korea has been attempting to build much better relationships with the North, what was known as the Sunshine Policy, that was instituted by former President Kim Dae-jung. And North Korea so far really hasn't responded to the South's overtures, but the South is very worried about taking too hard a line and appearing to be too anti-government. There's a feeling in Seoul that if the South lines up too much with a hardline position, say like the current hardline position that the Japanese government is taking, that this will set back into Korea relationships, and that North Korea will become even more intransigent in terms of its nuclear capabilities.